empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
This is not going the distance, I'm telling you.
Running water never grows stale, so you gotta just keep on flowing.
Welcome back, Penn Nation! This is yet another edition of Late Night Cageside Radio, powered by BJPenn.com. As always, I'm your host, Kinch, joined by Chase Raymond, the esteemed Floridian fight fanatic himself. Chase, brother, we have a kick-ass show lined up tonight, man. What do you think of, but before we get into, tonight's lineup, I gotta know what you thought of the fights this weekend, UFC on Fox Sports 1.
Oh, wonderful, man. Couldn't have been better, man. I thought it was great. The lineup was great. The prelims were awesome. I was a little worried about, 5 hours of, tuning in for 5 hours of fights and how it was going to go, but I thought it went perfect, man. It wasn't long enough.
Right, absolutely. They maintained the viewership. It had the highest ratings they've had since Spike TV. It was definitely a success. Pretty much everybody delivered. I was happy with all the fights, man. I was there live. The crowd was crazy. But we'll get more into that later, guys. Let's talk about the show, man. First things first, at 10:05, we're going to have Matt Brown returning to the show to discuss his big win over Mike Pyle at UFC Fight Night 26 that just went down this weekend. What he wants next, GSP, the title shot, a top 10 guy, and, what it's like being Mr. Fox. Then at 10:30, another returning guest featured on this past weekend's card, UFC Fight Night 26, going down live in Boston. John Doomsday Howard. He'll be joining us to discuss the hometown victory over Uriah Hall, how it felt to be triumphant in the UFC return, and what his plans are as far as weight divisions go. Then, at 11 p.m., 8 p.m. Pacific, we have Tough 18 contestant and women's MMA pioneer, Tara LaRosa. She'll be dropping by to tell us, what she can about Tough 18 without breaking any contract obligations, and, what it's like to finally get some big recognition and a big-time show, and, a lot more. She's a big guest to have. Then finally, at 11:30, we'll have some big news with Sarah Kaufmann. She'll be here to give us the exclusive on her fight being unfortunately withdrawn from UFC Fight Night 27. Since the UFC couldn't find a replacement for Sarah McMahon in time, she'll tell us, how it all went down, how disappointed she is, what positives she can take from it, and what she's going to do to move forward. So that being said, Chase, man, what do you think about the lineup tonight?
Oh, super, super, super excited, man. Couldn't be more excited. We've been, doing this. We've had a lot of great guests, but for a solid, lineup tonight, all night, great guests, interesting guests. People are going to want to tune in, for these guests, obviously. Big names, a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm happy we got this weekend's winners, man. That's what's got me real excited. Obviously it's a pleasure to have Tara LaRosa on. She is, absolute pioneer of the sport, and to have Sarah Kaufmann on is awesome as well. And especially for her to be able to, give some exclusive insight as to what's going on, man. I know it's wicked unfortunate for that type of thing to happen, and she's about to make her debut. But we're gonna get Matt Brown on the line in just a minute here, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I just find it crazy that they couldn't find a replacement. Obviously, we're going to find out more about that. But from what I can read and see, what I hear is that they just couldn't find anyone willing to fight her on the short notice, and which speaks a lot about her and her skills. But also, I just can't believe they couldn't find someone willing to step up and take a chance. It's a huge chance. She's ranked, I think, number 2 for the UFC women's fighters. I think only Kat Zagano's ahead of her. And just super excited, and of course, Matt, the Immortal Brown, huge win. Knockout. Now everyone's talking. He just got bumped up to number 10 in the rankings. And so he's looking, obviously, to step up. He called out GSP in the ring, when Dana White was pushed, to talk about, he put it back on the people for the rankings. So it was a crazy good fight, crazy good win, and, it was a typical Matt Brown fight.
It certainly was, and I think we are now live with the Immortal One himself. Matt Brown, are you with us, sir?
Yes, sir.
So, Matt, man, first things first, man, congrats on the huge win. How happy are you with that performance?
Happy, man. You can't get much better than that, right?
Absolutely not. Now, you mentioned at the post-fight press conference that this victory was like a little bittersweet for you since you like Mike Pyle and respect him as a fighter. Did you find it difficult to block all that out leading up to this fight?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it is what it is. I just went ahead and assumed that he was blocking it out, so I was like, I guess I better block it out, right?
Now, after the fight, man, you told Joe Rogan you felt Mike Pyle was better than GSP, and you proceeded to call him out. Give everybody a little, little Diaz style call out there. Did you plan on doing that?
No, I don't really plan for nothing after the fight. You never know what's going to happen in there, so no plan.
Well, it was awesome, man, and I think everybody's now finally saying, hey, man, this guy deserves a title shot. That being said, man, the fight was stopped in 29 seconds into the first. I know there really isn't any better outcome than that, but were you expecting it to finish that early?
Oh, of course not. Never expect a fight to go that fast. It wouldn't be intelligent to expect it to go that fast, especially somebody as good as Pyle, So, sometimes you get lucky, or sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, right?
Definitely. And now a lot, I was glad that you did call out GSP, and a ton of people now are posting online and, going to the forums and, even saying it, I think at the post-fight conference about, where's your top fighters? Why aren't you up there? And Dana kind of pushed it back to the media and said, hey, you guys rank these guys. How much does the rankings play into it? Now they got you ranked number 10. How much does that actually play into your next opponent, do you think?
I don't have any idea, honestly. I really try not to even think about that kind of stuff. The rankings are subjective, and it's really out of my control. So I just do the best I can to put on the best performance I can, and can't do much more than that. Let you guys figure out all the rest.
That's right. Now, how'd you feel about the the event in Boston, the Boston fans? What was the weigh-ins and the walkout like? How was that?
It's the same as every other fight, honestly. I mean, that stuff is so blocked out of my mind that it's literally the same thing every time. And I know that they booed me when I mentioned George, so that wasn't too cool, man. But no, it was good though. I mean,
I think they're booing George.
Really any different than anywhere else.
I don't know if they're booing you. I think they might have been booing George, man. But
yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. What were you? Now, what are you looking forward to most when you get home, man?
Everything. I don't know. Just relaxing, I guess. Just put my mind off. And just hang out with the family and just put my mind at ease for a little bit. It ain't gonna last long. I mean? I'll ease my mind for a couple of days, and I'm about to get right back in the gym, man. I got tough guys coming up for sure.
Absolutely, man, and that kind of leads into my next question here. You mentioned to Ariel Helwani backstage that you wanted to take some time off, maybe not fight until the beginning of 2014, spend some time with your family. But you also said that, things can change rather quickly. I know we're only a couple days out here, but have you put any thought to that? Are you still looking to stay out till 2014?
Yeah, I probably have to think about it a little more. I mean, it's only halfway up to me, if they call it, they're not too fond of people who say no. So, you gotta do what you gotta do. I guess it's just gonna take some time, a couple of days probably, to figure everything out. For now, just enjoy it and, get back so I can start working hard as I can. Like I said, I know I ain't gonna be no easy opponent next, so I gotta be ready for whatever they throw my way.
Yeah, now Dana seemed a little hesitant to say you're next in line for the title shot. A lot of people feel that with a finish a pile like that, and the win streak you're on, it's pretty undeniable that you're, number one contender status. Do you think you're going to need another win over a top 10 guy to get there?
It's hard to say, I guess. You never know what's going to happen, You never know how all the things are going to play out. I mean, maybe Johnny Hendricks gets hurt and they need someone to take his place right away, right?
Yeah, that's another thing too, man. I was definitely expecting you to, get right back in the gym, and those opportunities arise all the time, man. You would definitely be the prime position for something like that. That being
I definitely got to be in there and be ready for whatever happens. Regardless of what I want or anything, it's I got to be ready for the opportunities. It's a once in a lifetime opportunities come up sometimes, so you got to be ready for it.
Definitely, man. It looks like it's finally going to come for you soon. Now, Dana White has dubbed you Mr. Fox. Is that something, we should expect from now on? Will you, primarily try to fight on Fox cards, or?
Hey, I like Fox. Fox has been good to me, so I'm down to stay on that channel all the time. It gives good exposure, so I'm down.
Now, what did you do the night of the event? After you won that night, what did you do?
I went back to the hotel, got some pizza, hung out with my wife and some of her family. And, that was about it. Everybody else got drunk. I just sat there, enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, it was definitely nice. It's probably nice to, go out there and 30-something seconds, and then you made what'd you get? All that money for the bonus and everything. It's a quick night of work, man. But it's all the hard work leading up to it that really plays out.
I mean, I was actually planning on a pretty good celebration after this fight, but I take it all night. I was just kind of in shock that it went the way it did. I mean, I was planning on drinking away my bruises and bumps. I didn't know. I almost didn't even know what happened. It took a while for it to set in.
It's funny you say that, though, man, because it seems like a lot of fighters we talk to after they win, the go-to thing for a lot of fighters is pizza.
Yeah, pizza's the shit, man.
So when we spoke with you last week, man, you mentioned you didn't really realize how monumental this event was until you started speaking with the media leading up to the event. That being said, man, in retrospect, how big of a deal do you think it was, and how happy are you to be a part of it?
I don't know. I heard it got pretty good ratings, right? I haven't heard what the ratings were or anything or the viewership, but I heard it was pretty good. So
yeah, I want to
say it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was, man. I think it was the best numbers they put up since a really big Spike TV card, and I want to say it was 1.29 or 1.92 was the peak million viewers there. So
wasn't Fox Cards getting 4 million or something?
Good.
I don't know.
Maybe it was 11. I could have misread it. Either way, they were very happy, and it seems it did well, man. I watched it live. I thought the crowd was crazy. Everybody enjoyed it. What did you think of the Boston crowd?
I mean, when you're there, you don't even hear it. I mean, I guess I do. I hear it, but and honestly, the arenas, they're all exactly the same. Really, I did. I mean, it's kind of the same every time.
Yeah, right. And when you always perform like that, I'd imagine everybody's always screaming at every fight. So, I Man, I mentioned to you, you had a great choice of walkout music, and also you made a run to the cage, man. I want to know, how pumped up were you for that walkout, and how much does Jedi Mind Tricks help with that?
That's one of my best favorite songs, man. I love it, and it's been working for me. That's been my walkout song since the first of the 6 fight streak. And why try to fix what's not broken, right? But yeah, I've always run to the cage. I didn't, a few times, but man, you're sitting back there for so damn long, just sitting backstage, and then you're sitting in the hallway waiting to go out and everything. I'm like, shoot, man, let's just get out there and do this. So I just want to run in the cage and just go right at it. The less thought process, the better.
So I bet Burt Watson's got a lot to do with that, huh? I'm sure he gets you pumped up enough to run out there.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. Yeah, I don't think he likes to run, though. I must run him over every time.
Now, you mentioned the walkout music, and after we had you on last week, I got a tweet about, it was a band, I can't think of the band's name now, where it's a music video, Rise of the Immortal, that you're in, I believe.
Yeah, Rise of the Immortal Rise.
And I asked him, I said, well, is this what we're going to hear him walk out to this week? And like, oh no. He's got the same one since the 5-fight win streak. We're not changing it up. He's not changing it up.
Yeah, that's a music video. You check it out on YouTube. I was in. It's got a good anti-bullying theme to it, so it's pretty cool.
Is that a cause you're heavily involved with?
I wouldn't say so. He approached me to do it, so I was like, all right, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah, so it's a really good video. People should check it out. Now, you said you went back to the hotel, with your wife and friends or whoever to celebrate. Does your wife go to the fight? Is she backstage with you?
Not backstage, definitely not. But yeah, she comes to every one of them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. So, like, when is the last time you guys talk before you fight, and after that, is that when you kind of have to change to the Matt Immortal Brown?
Usually the fight week we don't really talk a whole lot, and then but always after the weigh-ins we have sort of a pre-fight celebration, I guess you say, or post-weigh-in celebration. Like, thank God I made weight, and and hang out a little bit and relax, and after that it's tunnel vision.
Yeah, game time. Now, before like, now that you're one and you're going to get to go home and see your family like you said you wanted to do, how long will you actually take off before you go back into the gym?
That's a tough question. Probably usually what I do is like for a week or two, I won't force myself to go, but if I have the time, I'll go. And then after that, it's back to business. It won't be more than 2 weeks for sure.
Now, at the post-fight press conference, man, does fighters like that? Do they enjoy it? Is it just one of those things you have to do, part of the deal? Or does it depend on how your fight went, how much you like it, things like that?
Well, definitely if you lose, it's no fun. You've seen Shogun, right?
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't say, man, at that point, for me at least, I'm so hungry that, I'm ready. I just want to go eat. I don't care about anything else. So it's not really that enjoyable, but there's also been times when they brought, some pizza to the locker rooms, and when they do that, then it's all right. It doesn't really bother me.
Matt the Immortal Brown, motivated by hunger for a title and hunger for some pizza. I love it, brother.
Straight up, man.
So, on another side note of the event, I read today that you and John Howard linked up again. You guys were talking again. You made train together. Tell us a little bit about what went on backstage, and a little bit about that relationship.
Yeah, he's a real cool cat, man. My wife's family lives there, close to Boston, so we'd actually talked before. After we fought last time. About me coming up there and training when I'm in town, and it a time hasn't come yet where it worked out just right, but I probably will sometime. And we talked a little bit about our fight, and we both say it was one of our favorite fights. So that was cool. To enjoy that a little bit. And, that was about it. I mean, he's a really cool cat. I'm glad to see him back in the UFC. Glad to see him doing well. And, hopefully he can keep himself alive in the UFC and get a good streak going.
Absolutely, man. We actually have him on next, so we'll be telling him you said hello and gave him some props, brother. Moving forward, man. Obviously you want GSP. You definitely deserve title contention status at the least. How do you think you match up with GSP or Hendricks?
Pretty damn good, honestly. I know everybody thinks I'm crazy shit. You read the forums, they think I'm delusional or whatever, but I match up well with them. And I understand where everybody's coming from. I probably haven't really shown a whole lot to show that I match up well with them, but I absolutely do, and I absolutely know that I can go in there and take everything they have.
I don't know. You must be reading. I don't know what forums you're reading. All I've seen was positive things and people saying, get you in there with someone else. And a 6-fight win streak is no joke. I looked up, all-time win streaks and stuff today. There's very, very few in the 6 category. And then when you get to 7, there's even less. And then barely anything up from there, So, I mean, you're in a rare place, man. It was a great fight. I'm very excited to see what goes down next. And I think you match up well with those guys, too. I know you said you think you can out-wrestle GSP.
Yeah, it's not just I think I can. I know I can. It's just a matter of executing when the time comes in the cage. I wrestle with better guys than him all the time. On a consistent basis, and I know how good I am. It's just a matter of execution, is all it is.
Absolutely, man. And before we let you go, brother, before we wrap things up here real quick, tell us, man, what's the word with the combat sports athletic equipment? How's that going? Any new news? I know we only spoke to you last week, but with the big wins, some more recognition, I'd imagine things got to be moving forward. You got the bonus money, Yeah,
I plan on jumping on that pretty quick as soon as I get back home and getting things rolling a little more. Getting installed in Mortal Kombat equipment, or ICE for sure. It's going to be a lot of work, and we got a lot of new ideas and a lot of things that we're going to bring to the table that nobody's seen before. It's going to be unique to the MMA industry, and we just got to take the time, make sure everything's perfect, and when everything's perfect, it's going to be unveiled, and I think it's going to make a big splash on the scene.
Definitely, man. I know. I'm sure a lot of people training in the sport are looking for something like that. It sounds like you got a good little niche of a market there that you'll be able to work with. And go ahead.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the idea. A lot of guys, they do just CrossFit, and we'll make stuff for CrossFit style. But there's also a lot of stuff that will work, more specifically towards MMA, not just CrossFit style. And that's exactly what we're looking for, and that's exactly what we're going to build. And it's coming along so far, so good. I got a lot of good people around me, and I've been working with Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell, and be working with the guys from Muscle Farm, and we have a lot of good people around to make this happen.
Awesome. Now, is there any targeted launch date for the brand, or?
We're thinking at the Arnold Classic, in March, but I think we'll probably have it done a lot sooner than that, and maybe the Arnold Classic will just, we'll just have a nice booth there and be ready to really roll things out then. But I think we'll actually be ready before then.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So to all the listeners, make sure you guys look out for that. Matt Brown, a Mortal Kombat gear. Be sure to check it out. So Matt, man, congrats again on the victory, dude. We look forward to seeing you competing for the title in the upcoming year, at least for #1 contendership. Best of luck in the future, sir. Feel free to get in some shout-outs, brother. It's your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I got to thank my sponsors who have all been really good to me. Cage Fighter, Venom, Core Synergy, Score.com, Alienware, Muscle Farm. Definitely check out my Twitter. I am the Immortal. Check out my Facebook. I got the Facebook fan page. Check me out on either one. I try to reply to as many messages as I can. It's hard to catch up lately. SwollenKnucklesClothing.com, my own clothing company, or SwollenKnuckles.com, either one. And again, don't forget the Immortal Combat Equipment will be coming out soon.
Awesome, brother. And again, to all the listeners, the link is right there above the player. I am the Immortal. Matt, have you hit 27,000 followers yet?
I think I got 28, I think.
All right, very good. Let's get you to 50 by next couple months, bro.
I know. What's up? I should have 50, right?
All right, absolutely. Thank you again, Matt. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck in the future, bro. We look forward to your return.
All right, thank you much, guys.
All right, thanks. Go enjoy your family, sir.
All right, thank you.
There you have it, Pin Nation. Late Night Cageside, Matt Brown, powered by BJPin.com. Ice Combat, we'll be looking forward to when that comes out. Immortal Combat Equipment, and SlowKnuckles.com for his clothing line, man. Yes. He's got a lot going on.
I know. He's definitely one of those guys that's taken advantage of, the business aspect of this. It seems like a lot of fighters end up going the gym route and doing that kind of thing. That's all well and good, but, I think you can definitely probably make a hell of a lot more money starting a clothing line.
Yeah, I don't understand if he's only got 28,000 followers. I mean, the guy's got so many great fights. He's been on Fox, so much exposure with Fox, and 6-fight win streak now. I don't know how that Twitter stuff works, man. I just don't understand. I can't wrap my mind around it, because you would think he'd have way more than that.
Well, you know what it is? It's probably he's the type of guy that, people don't think he has a Twitter. I bet most people don't expect Nick Diaz to have a Twitter. I bet they see Matt Brown and the way he acts, and, he's a humble guy who's just there to work hard and grind, and, they're probably like, Matt Brown probably doesn't even have a Twitter.
Yeah, so, he's too real, man, for Twitter.
So now you guys know, I am the Immortal, at I am the Immortal. Make sure to follow him. So coming up next, guys, we got another winner from UFC Fox Sports 1, our UFC Fight Night 26, Shogun versus Sonnen. One of the gentlemen on the main card, John Howard, Doomsday, Boston Strong, brother. He's going to be on in just a couple minutes here. Obviously, he got the win over Uriah Hall. A little bit of controversy coming out of that fight from Dana White. It looked like it got kind of cleared up that he was ragging on Uriah Hall. We'll get Doomsday's take on that, what it was like to win in front of the hometown crowd, and what he's looking for going forward. I'm wondering if he's going to stay at 185, man, because he did look like a powerhouse, and I don't think anybody expected him to be overpowering Uriah Hall like that.
Yeah, and he hit him hard. I don't remember if it was the first round or what round.
Left hook.
I think it was left hook, and yeah, you could see on TV when they showed Uriah going after the round, he had a nice lump right there where he got hit. So I'm wondering how bad you think he had him hurt. Yeah, and that was a split decision. What'd you think about that? You were there, you were live, man. What was give me a little talk. How was the crowd around that fight? And
well, that's one of the cool things of going to the fights as a fan is I get to root for who the hell I want to root for. So of course I was rooting for Howard. Watching the fight, yeah, I think they got a little grapple happy in certain times, but from what it looked like to me, for the most part, Uriah Hall initiated all the grappling, and it looked like he didn't want to stand. You know what I mean? I mean, he came out of the fight and shot for a takedown, didn't he? Wasn't that the first thing? He shot for a takedown?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And props to Howard on the takedown defense. I mean, I know Uriah Hall's not a wrestler, but he's a taller guy, supposedly a stronger guy, and towards the end there, the way Howard was stuffing those takedowns is like beast mode, like, get off me, son, you know?
Yeah. So was the Boston crowd, I mean, I know he was big about fighting in Boston and all that. Was the Boston crowd with him?
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask people who watched the fight. I mean, it was nuts, man. When I went in 2010, the crowd was crazy, and they cheered. This was when BJ fought. BJ fought at UFC 118 in Boston. And the crowd was crazy then, but this time around, man, the prelim card people were screaming like nutcases, and, the way, the smallest transition would happen, a guy would, pass guard, and the crowd went crazy, and I was like, wow, this wasn't like this last time. This is like a much more educated crowd, and, the fans are definitely way more all about it, so I was excited.
Yeah, now normally before the fights, like when the prelim fights are on, it's like dead for some reason. Only the hardcore guys are there watching, and not until the main card starts, everyone flocks in. Was it the same way Saturday, or you think there was a good amount of people there because there were so many great fights? I figured it'd be packed early.
Oh, it's funny. One of my buddies mentioned when we were there, he said, "Hey, man, it doesn't look like this place sold out." And then come to find out, Dana White said at the post-fight presser that the gate was like 12,900 or something like that. And the TD Bank Garden only holds like 14,000 people. So, the thing is just there was like scarcities of seats everywhere. There was like a hole in the seating everywhere, and that's because tickets to these fights are friggin' expensive in this crappy economy. You know what I mean? I paid $70 to sit, way up on the balcony.
Yeah, and I think more people go to those things as a group, as like a group event. So then when you get a big group and there's only one seat in between another group, them seats are normally going to not sell probably onesies, twosies,
Yeah, right. Everybody wants to go as a group. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have John Doomsday Howard on here in just a minute. We'll be getting him on the line. We'll talk with him for, as long as we can. And then again at 11 p.m., we have Tara LaRosa, Tough 18 contestant, women's MMA pioneer, and Sarah Kaufmann on at 11:30 to discuss the very unfortunate, withdrawal of that fight from UFC Fight Night 27.
Yeah, definitely. But it could be setting up something good. I think one of the few top women fighters that she hasn't fought is Kat Zingano, and that's the only one ranked ahead of her. And obviously she was hurt, but that would be a huge fight for the UFC if they could pit those two against each other, especially because it'll be the first time they fought each other. And both of them are highly, talked about in the women's MMA for a long time. But Doomsday Man and Uriah Hall was a split decision. We'll see what he thought about the decision and how he felt in the fight, what he felt about the fight, the post-fight presser, how the crowd was. Obviously, he's Boston. I want to talk to him about, he said something about he busted the Boston Bombers' nose in training or something like that a while back, I guess. So we're about to have him on. Make sure you go to bjpin.com for all your MMA news.
So I believe we are now live with Doomsday himself, Mr. John Howard. John, are you with us, sir?
Yes, I am.
How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Feeling good, man.
You got to be. So, again, congrats on the successful UFC return against Uriah Hall, man. You said it was a dream come true for you to fight at the TD Bank Garden. Does it still seem surreal to you at this point?
It's unbelievable, man. It's like still not unreal, man. I'm still living the dream. I can't believe that happened, man. It's a dream come true, man. It's just bugged out, man.
Happy. Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. What did you do to celebrate? Did you go crumping in the clubs in Brockton or what?
I went to the clubs in Boston and Tremont Street, man. I went to get out and chill there, man. The fans were going crazy, man. It was just my love in Boston that night, man.
Awesome. Now, when we spoke a few weeks ago, man, you mentioned that you felt you had a lot more power at 185, and Uriah Hall would have to respect that. Did you think he was a little tentative to strike with you after that first round?
Not tentative. I think it's just a lot of respect. He's a good guy. I'm a good guy, man. And I don't know, man. He felt my power, I felt his, and we know we can knock each other out. So I think we just both respect each other. I pressed a little bit hard, man, but I think that's the sex of the fight.
Now, Dana White was a little critical of the performance, and then, later we kind of discovered that he was talking more about Uriah Hall being too nice of a guy and that he isn't a fighter. Did you feel that way in the fight?
Not really, man. I think Uriah Hall is just he's a smart fighter. He knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight, and he was just careful, man. And he was getting the proper respect that I deserved, being a UFC fighter before him and stuff. But I think that's what it was.
So, what would you say to the haters that were being critical of your performance?
I'll say whatever, man. I mean, I ain't worried about y'all, man. I got it done, man, and the proof is in the pudding. That's it.
Absolutely, man. You got a great reception from the crowd. Tell us, man, how much pressure was it, for you to win in front of the hometown and, prove you belong in the UFC?
Not that much pressure, man, because it was like, you know what?
It's my hometown, you know, and I've been in before. I was comfortable in it, and all the pressure was on him because everyone expected him to win. Because I was just an underdog. I was like, hey, you know, it was easy for me. It was like I was in a win-win situation. If I lost, I was supposed to, and if I won, I shocked the world. So, you know, I felt no pressure.
So obviously at the weigh-ins, you got a big pop when you walked out. How was the Boston crowd, and how did you feel overall about the whole card being in Boston overall experience?
It was awesome. It was just like the feeling that, you know, like I said, when you're like a kid, and you see the Celtics playing and stuff, you know, like those guys are not from Boston, but they're in the Garden. You just like, I want to do something like that one day, and then to be a fighter. You know, and then to perform it, you know, all Boston guys, and oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's unreal.
How many friends and family did you have live?
I had so many family. I had my girlfriend, my boy, Henry, all my family watching on TV. It was just unbelievable.
What did you think about the decision? Did you think that was a fair split decision, and did you think it should have been unanimous? How did you feel about that?
I thought it was unanimous. Honestly, I thought I was pressing the fight more. I thought I was going for it more. You know, but no, I really can't say that. It was a close fight. It was a good fight. He took me down, and that shocked me. He just took me down. Like, wow, he's taking me down. That was shocking. But it just shows he was looking at his ground game, which surprised me, and it was impressive. But I came back. I took him down twice, and I pressed him, and I think that's why I got the win.
So, did like being back on the big stage affect you at all for this fight?
No, not really. I mean, I was happy to be there. I showed that I belong there. I belong with the best. I proved I can hang with the best, and no, I wasn't too pressed. I felt back at home, honestly.
Now, Dana White said you will definitely fight again for the promotion. I'm wondering if they've talked to you about, if they're cool with you at 185, or have they asked you to go back to 170? What's the deal with that?
We're going to see what happens. I don't know. It's funny. I talked to my coach today, Crew John. We talked about posture going back. We're not sure yet, but we'll see. I feel I can make it 185. You know, I have the strength and power. So I think I could go with Tyson right now.
Now, speaking of 185, I know there was a lot of talk of the size difference, leading up to this fight. But you definitely see, as I mentioned earlier, you definitely seem to overpower him, especially in the clinch and on the ground. Stuffing all those takedowns. Were you expecting to be that much stronger than him?
A little bit, not sure. I mean, I've been working with a lot of strong people like Jorge Rivera, other strong MMA fighters, other big guys. So I wasn't that shocked. I knew my shit could be like close to it, but I think working on bigger guys really helped me for this fight.
One of the things they kept talking about, and I don't know if you even knew or paid attention to this, but Uriah was the biggest favorite on the card. I know you feel that was definitely wrong, but does that feel disrespectful at all? That would what they would put you at?
I feel a little disrespectful because I'm like, come on, I thought he was at least on the same level. I didn't think he was that big of me. I don't think they liked him because he was flash. He's good for flash in the house and stuff, but that's about it. He's good, but because I think the experience level or the chance level should have been the same. If he was so good because he was bigger, I feel like it should have been like at least 2-1 or 3-1.
Now, what do you think he needs? It seems like he's very close. Like, I don't know, it might be a coin toss on if the UFC is going to keep him or not. Two-part question: are you going to feel bad if they do cut him, and what does he need to do if they keep him to, get better?
I think he just tried. I don't know. Just keep training. Give him a little experience, give him a little time. I think I was very excited. I do think if he give him one more fight, I think he'd be back there with a big show with him, the people up against him. It was a good fight. It was not easy. He's definitely on that level. He's definitely on that UFC level.
Yeah, and you hit him hard in the first round. I think it was with a left hook. When he went back to the corner, he had a huge knot on his eye. How bad do you think that hurt him? Were you surprised that he took it?
No, I think he just respected it when I did it. I think he was like, wow, the power was there. Thinking I was a welterweight, being a smaller, but I walk out kind of big, so. But once he felt the power was there, I think it kind of changed.
He definitely, I think, to watching it felt like it changed his whole game. It changed up the fight. And how much did the height play in difference into your performance? You think, did it bother you at all, the height difference?
I've been training with guys. Team Pro Elite. This guy's 6'4". Brian's a good welterweight, and he's 6'4". So I've been training with him. Training with guys longer and stronger, not stronger, but longer at least. And I think that I played into my role for this game.
Now, it looked like a few times in the fight that you were debating throwing a spinning heel kick after Uriah had thrown one at you. Was that like a spur-of-the-moment thing? Were you just feinting? Was that something you would train? What was up with that?
I was just thinking, I trained it just in case. If he's going to throw it out there too. But I was just trying, like I said before, I knew I would see that spinning heel kick, and I knew same thing with Haley, he'll see mine too, so I definitely get the same respect.
Now, you landed some very heavy leg kicks on him in that fight. Now, obviously you said you thought your Muay Thai, when we spoke with you a couple weeks ago, you thought your Muay Thai was on the same level as his. It seemed like, you could have hurt him with a couple of those leg kicks. How hard did they land, do you think? How clean did they land? And, was that something you were definitely looking to work on in that fight?
Yeah, because he was tall, I wanted to work his legs. And I've been working my Muay Thai hard. I've been training a lot of stand-up. And that's my favorite kick, my right leg, my right low kick is my kick. And I knew that played a factor. Because I used that, it worked. It was great.
Now, changing gears here a little bit, man. We just had Matt Brown on the show just before you. We asked him about the article that I'd read today where you said, you guys were talking again, that you might train together, that you were proud of him. He had nothing but, he had nothing but nice things to say about you, man. And it looks like you guys, might actually link up again, do some training together. Tell us a little bit about how that conversation went down and a little bit about that relationship, man.
Yeah, man. I respected him. Me and Matt Brown had a great fight. He won that fight. And, it just made sense, man. We're in two different weight classes now. And we can link up and train together. Even if we go back to different weight classes, we can still just be good teammates, help each other out, and push each other.
Now, this makes 3 in a row for you, man. How quick would you like to get back into action?
I like to take a couple of months off, see what's up. You already took me my arm, and he kind of like ruptured something, not ruptured something, but he hit my muscle pretty hard, so it comes swelled up. So I got to take some time. That kid hits hard, so I've been taking a couple of months off, let it heal up, then I'll start training again.
Now, why wasn't Uriah at the post-fight presser? It's just they didn't have enough room for everybody. I just figured he might have been up there.
I have no clue. You gotta extend it like that. I don't know. That was no place for me. I was shocked about, hey, I just work for the company and do what I do.
Did it feel good to be back, with the company, back up at the post-fight, with a win on the post-fight presser and getting, how much attention did this fight get you already in just short notice? Did it get you back to where you feel like you deserve the attention you deserve?
Yeah, it did. I feel like I should have been there and I should have been fighting with the best, and I'm still relevant. It felt real good. I felt like people know I'm still around.
Now, another thing I seen before the fight, you were tweeted about the Boston Bomber. You busted his nose in training at some point, back in the past at some time. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The best ball used to train at my school. Always before what happened, but he used to train at my school. And years ago, we had a sparring match, and he was a very good boxer. He won Boston really well twice. And one day we was sparring, and he kind of tested me. He tried to hit me hard a few times, and when we went hard, we went real. I broke his nose with a left hook.
Wow, that's an interesting story. I had no idea that even happened.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It was when that happened. That was unreal too, man. That was like some movie type stuff, man. That was crazy. I would never believe something like that could happen.
Now, were you surprised? I was kind of surprised that Joe Rogan didn't get in there and talk to you after the fight, man. What was up with that?
Once again, I don't know. Good question. Man. I want to. I like to know that too, but I don't know. Maybe the UFC didn't have enough time or something like that, but I don't know. But
yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised, man. It seemed like you're hometown favorite. What the heck, man? You should have got in some Boston Strong love and got to shout out the crowd and all that.
I agree. I should have. But, hey.
So, man, obviously we thank you very much for the time again, man. But before we let you go, what should people expect from Doomsday coming up in the near future in the UFC, brother?
Another few fights, definitely. I'm still going strong. I'm sitting on prime 30 years old. I feel good, and I'm definitely going to be here for some time. So I ain't leaving yet. So yeah, I'll be here.
Awesome, man. So congrats again on the big win. We look forward to your return, regardless of weight class. Feel free to get in some shout-outs, bro.
Thank you, Scott Ream, Pro Athlete, John Allen, Wyatt Crew, Nick Drummond, Jorge Rivera, Mark Clem, Nobody would come back, Dave Spell, MMA. Thank you all for helping me, keeping me shake. Jake, the Pillar Gorilla, all y'all. I mean, my girl, all y'all, they just helped me so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome, brother. So congrats again, man. We look forward to your return. Hope to have you on the show again soon, man.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right, take care, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
There is Doomsday, man. He told, like, when we talked to him last time, he was saying, basically people are doubting him. He's going to have to prove them wrong. That he felt like he's been doing it longer. He was at least on the same level, if not, it's actually, probably better than Uriah. He was saying, if you put me in the tough house, I'd have knocked all them guys out too. And it was a good win for him, man.
Definitely. I was very happy to see it happen. It's one of those things too. Being on the media side of these things, you interview a fighter. You don't want to be biased at all, but I'm from New England, and I wanted to see the kid win. Everybody likes Uriah Hall, but I kind of thought that John Howard probably shouldn't have been cut in the first place. Yeah, he lost 3 in a row, but he was always exciting, and he's one of those guys that probably should have stuck around. And after some hard work outside of the promotion, he got his way back into it. Got a big win in the hometown, man, and looks like he's going to be here for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything, some people believe everything happens the way it's supposed to. And if you look, I mean, maybe he took that time, he got better. Obviously, you're going to get better with more fights, more training. But then it took 2 guys, getting injured that were supposed to fight Uriah for him to get in there. And then he gets in there and he shows that he's supposed to be there, So it's great to see. It's a great story.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, to any of the listeners right now that were critical of his performance, yeah, I know there was a lot of high fives going on and all that stuff, but, give the guy credit, man. He was a hell of a lot shorter than the guy. He's 185 now. He's like a 5'7", 185er. That's intense just to begin with. And then to go out there and overpower a guy is even more impressive. And from what I saw on like every headline on all the MMA media sites, all the news sites, BJPenn.com included, every single headline was Howard overpowers, Howard powers through Hall, Howard, whatever, steamrolls through Hall, something like that. It's like he went on there. It was pretty one-sided. I didn't see a split decision in there. I mean, what did Uriah get? Like 2 takedowns, and so did Howard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Howard pushed the pace the entire fight. He controlled the center of the cage, and he deserved the win.
Yeah, and I do feel bad for Uriah. He is a nice guy. Of course, that's what they're knocking for. But we talked to him, and he is super nice, man. I mean, when he was on the show, I was believing the hype. I was into it. Obviously, he's got the skills, man. I don't know what the deal is. I don't think they should cut him. I think they should keep him, give him another fighter. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he should fight one of the other tough winners or something. I don't know. But I like the guy, so I'm hoping, that he does have a good career and that he continues his UFC career, hopefully.
Yeah, he should. And I mean, the point that Dana White made kind of makes sense. I mean, maybe the kid just sometimes lacks that killer instinct. Maybe he's one of those guys, kind of like a Diaz brother, who has to hate his opponent to get ready for him, you know?
Yeah.
Or not even get ready for him, but get in there and, want to knock his head off. Maybe you kind of got to dislike a guy to do that sometimes. So, obviously, we wish the best for Uriah Hall. One thing I'd like to point out, though, is, John Howard got a really great reception coming out for the crowd, the Boston crowd, and Hall got the same reception until Bruce Buffer said he was from New York, and then all the boos started. I was laughing, man. I was like, I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that Boston, New York beef with A-Rod just got pegged by one of your guys' pitchers, and that's big talks now. But let's talk about some of the main cards. Let's talk, obviously, one of your other hometown guys, Joe Lozon. He lost unanimous decision to Michael Johnson. He was pretty much destroyed that fight. I don't know what you thought.
Man, from after the first round, everybody I was with, we were kind of looking around saying to each other, man, it doesn't look like Joe Lozon showed up tonight. I don't know whether when he got rocked in that first round, if it affected him for the entire fight. It could have. Very well could have. Completely taken him out of his game plan, But, unfortunately, Joe did not show up. And all the props in the world to Michael Johnson. He looked phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think even Joe said they asked, I don't remember which site it was that talked to him or someone talked to him after a fight, and was like, basically, he was like, what happened? He was like, Michael Johnson happened. That's what happens when he shows up. And he said he just didn't feel like he got off. Joe didn't feel like he went out there. Normally, he's the aggressor right away. He didn't feel like he did that. Probably getting hit like he got hit, threw him off. But I like Joe. He's a friend of BJPin.com. But Michael Johnson did his thing, man. Joe will be back. He's one of those guys. He's going to stay around. So it'll be good to see him bounce back and see what they do with Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
Then the next fight was John Howard Uriah. We kind of already talked about that. And then it was Matt Brown versus Mike Pyle, which we didn't talk too much about that. It's funny. I've seen a lot of people were thinking Mike Pyle was going to be too technical. That Matt Brown likes to rumble, and that they thought Pyle was going to be technical.
Honestly, I did my UFC pick'em for this card. I picked Matt Brown by decision, and the reason I did that was because they're just two wicked scrappy guys. I mean, Pyle been in there with Story, who was a heavy-handed guy, and He was in there, man. So I was expecting a scrap. I was expecting, a lot of grindy, dirty boxing, clinch stuff, crazy transitions on the ground, escapes and sweep attempts and submission attempts. I was expecting something like that. But, man, Matt Brown went out there and put the friggin' stamp on it.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, that's like he don't look. I mean, I would never want to fight him in a million years. Don't get me wrong, but Matt Brown don't look like huge or nothing, and he's knocking people out. I don't know where he's getting his power from, man. But yeah, Mike Pyle went out quick.
He's getting his power from Jedi mind tricks, son.
That's right.
to all the listeners, man, if you guys never heard of them, Jedi mind tricks, go Google them. If you guys are into hip hop or anything like that, it's like, I've slowly gone to rock and roll, but man, they are a crazy hardcore group. They get you all pumped up. You want to go kill shit. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny how you said you said he ran out to the octagon. I didn't know that. I don't think they showed the walk-ins for that.
And that's kind of why I mentioned it too, because in previous, I'm pretty sure all of the other Fox, I would have known this if he had been walking out to friggin' Jedi mind tricks. Like I always listen. Like one of my favorite fighter entrances is Mirko Cro Cop because he comes out to Duran, which is like ridiculous, Yeah. So. I always try to listen in just to see what they're coming out to, and I would have known if he was coming out to Jedi Mind. And once he did, I saw him running. I was like, "Oh man, he's a killer." Oh.
Yeah, and he says he knows he's a better wrestler than GSP, and the reason he's saying he's getting slaughtered on the forums about it. But the thing is, people haven't seen his too much of his wrestling because he's been knocking people out. So you got to take him for his word. But I forgot to bring up even the preliminary card was great. But what'd you think? Obviously, you probably didn't know. I don't know if you went back and watched it after you got home, if you DVR'd it. But the only prelim walkout they showed was Conor McGregor, and they turned the lights off. And they did like a main event walkout for him. What'd you think about that, man?
Well, the crowd is crazy for him. My beef with all this Conor McGregor stuff is the kid is wicked talented. Watching him fight live, the crowd loved him, like I mentioned. But Max Holloway was a tough kid. That wasn't an easy fight for him at all. I thought, for all the hype he had, like he said, like Conor McGregor said, he's not happy unless he gets a finish. And once I heard that from him, I was like, wow, all right, I really like this kid. But, after watching that performance, I was like, hey, he might have a little too much hype going on with this kid. But he's, and then to find out his, knee popped in the first or second round, I mean, all the props in the world to Conor and Max Holloway. I mean, they both put on a great fight, and, Conor definitely dominated, but it was a little odd.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll admit, I was ready to be a hater. I was like, "What are they doing? They're giving, here you go, UFC hype train. They're going to push it behind them." So, but then, if you didn't watch the post fight presser, I watched the post fight presser. It made me really like him. Like, his answers were funny. He was funny.
Yeah, he's hysterical.
Yeah, he said he should. When he hurt his leg, he said he should have just ripped his leg off and beat him with it. And also what I noticed about him, which I really liked, was he said he talked about how Dana and UFC's really been helping him and pushing him, and they're ready to get behind him. And that was the reason he wasn't happy about a decision, because he wants to finish for them. Like, if your employers treat you well and they're behind you, you're going to want to perform. And he obviously felt bad that he didn't get a finish.
Yeah, definitely. He one of the things I loved about him, man, was he swore like a friggin' trucker.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I want to drink a Guinness with this guy. Let's do an Irish car bomb.
There you go. And he had his glasses on. He looked like, I don't know, it was just good.
I loved the whole bit he went on about, he's like, oh, you see this suit? This gold watch, 3 people died making it or something. And I was like, man. It's like, this stuff is expensive. I need those bonuses. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But
he was cool.
Yeah.
My apologies for that terrible Irish accent there, by the way.
Oh, man, it was perfect. What do you mean? So then we got, next up on the main card was Uriah Faber and Yuri Alcantara.
Why does everybody say his name wrong?
I say every name wrong, so you can't blame me.
Joe Rogan, everybody I heard in this week leading up to that fight was saying Yuri Alcantara's name wrong. It's Alcantara. I was like, what? How is everybody saying his name wrong? But anyway, man, he came out there. I was arguing with a bunch of my buddies. They were trying to say, oh, Uriah won that round. He probably did, but man, the beginning of it was, pretty intense, man. I mean, he came out there to win. He controlled it on the ground for the first half of that round, but of course, as always, Faber is a beast, and came back strong, controlled the fight from then on in, and landed some vicious elbows. I'm surprised that Uriah Faber's jaw could even break or get hurt, man. He's got a really prominent jaw.
Yeah, I thought it was action packed. It looked like, it looked like Yuri had him a little, surprised him a little bit at the beginning, and then Uriah just turned it on. He said he had like every fight, he had a couple of little injuries here and there, but he nothing that he couldn't handle. He did what he was supposed to do, man. Put it on. What do you have? 26 rounds, first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
And which was crazy, or whatever it is, 29, 26, 30, 26.
Yeah, I think there was like 26 rounds.
Which shows like his thing with him is, man, he's like, who do you put him up against? He beats every single body he fights except for the guys holding the title. So it's crazy. Who do you put him up against? I mean, he wants big names. Obviously, you're going to get him big names. He fights anyone, and I think Dana even said that at the post fight presser. He was like, Uriah Faber will fight anybody, even I think him and Michael McDonald. That was another great fight, by the way.
Why haven't we talked about that?
I don't know. I skipped right to the main card. I forgot how good the whole card was.
That fight was nuts, man. Holy crap! I picked McDonald. I picked actually second round TKO, and I was definitely underestimating the chin of Brad Pickett, man. Holy crap! But everything said, I think Dana White said, when you talk about one-sided fights, that's like, as one-sided as it gets. But that all that aside, all those crazy punches landed by Mayday in the first 2 rounds, that triangle in the second round was beautiful, man. The way he locked that up, I was like, oh, because I have like longer legs, and I know a lot of guys with longer legs have a little bit harder of a time, cinching in the triangle to get the choke. And man, he did it beautifully. Boom, boom, tap. I was like, wow, bitchin'.
Yeah, great fight and very dominant. I mean, that definitely jumps him up for sure to main card status. I know they talked big about it afterwards, and the guy, yeah, he looked great, man.
I didn't realize he's Canadian.
No, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Thanks for.
I guess Michael McDonald's Canadian. I didn't know that.
Hey, well, now we know, sir. Thanks to you, Mr. Kinch.
Right. All right. So moving on. Before we got to get Tara LaRosa on here, real quick. Co-main event was Travis Brown, Alistair Overeem.
Yep. I was very surprised that they did not stop the fight when Overeem was landing those big shots on Brown. Obviously, I'm glad they didn't, as well as I think a lot of people thought they were glad they didn't, because when he got back up, and I just couldn't believe it, man. That kick was nice, though, right? He landed that straight kick or front kick.
Yeah. And again, going back to picks, I had picked Brown first round KO. But I wanted Overeem to win. You know what I mean? I wanted Overeem to go in there and throw some uber knees like he did and, get some kind of crippling, crushing KO. And he was on his way to doing so. But, Travis Brown toughed it out, man. Hoppa is a tough big boy. And when he hits you, man, you go to sleep. And that's one of the things that leads me to my next point, which is kind of unfortunate to say, man. Alistair Overeem is always, not taking a very good punch, even early in his career. And when you're fighting at this weight class, man, he's done really well at kickboxing, and that's probably because he keeps his hands up all the time in kickboxing. But in MMA, for some reason, he drops his hands sometimes, and, it's one of those things, man. You get hit by anybody at that weight class, you go night-night. Night-night.
Yeah, and it's kind of another one like you're right. He's not, everyone, a lot of hype behind him coming in to UFC, and he's not that he's not living up to it. He's taking a lot of tough fights, but people expect him more, and they say, he's one of those front fighters where he's got to be ahead.
Yeah.
So then that goes up to the main event real quick, and we can talk about that. Chael defeats Shogun via submission guillotine, first round.
I wanted to cry.
I was blown. I don't know if anyone else would have, but I would have never bet. I wouldn't have bet $1 that Chael would have won by submission.
I know. And like I was telling you a little earlier, man, I'll tell all the listeners, I was there with a bunch of friends, and obviously I'm rooting for Shogun. And Shogun's like one of my second favorite fighters of all time. And for the most part, my buddies know that if like your favorite fighter loses, you kind of don't bust their balls too much. Well, for some reason, none of my friends took that into consideration. Shogun loses by choke, and I got like 10 people in my face like, oh, you suck, your boy sucks. And I'm like, come on, man, just give me a break here. Like, oh, just let me sit here and, be depressed. But yeah, that was, hats off to Chael, man. I was definitely not suspecting a submission. I mean, Shogun is so good at defending submissions, getting back up. I mean, I thought Shogun was going to attack with the legs like he was trying to do. Chael was blocking it and maintaining, unbelievable top control, but I thought that, I thought Shogun was for sure going to transition to some leg locks, not get them, but get back up like he always does. He always goes for a heel hook and gets back to his feet. And that was not the case, man. Chael jumped on that guillotine and not even an arm in. I thought he was going to pop out at one point, but like Chael said in the post-fight presser, they were dry. If he had got that on me, I probably would have had to tap, and, that's the end of the fight.
Yeah, and that bumps Chael right back up to, I think they got him ranked in the top 10 in both at 205 and 185 now. And but you got to like Chael, man. I don't know, a lot of people, you love him or hate him, I guess, for his trash talk and his style of trash talk. But after the fight, he was nothing but respectful to Shogun. Nothing but respect. And like right after his fight, he went down and did like a commentary with Joe and Dana and all of them and talk. He went straight from the octagon and win right down there to do work with Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, the guy, he's definitely a company man. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can say all the bad things you want about Chael as far as talking trash goes, but he's a promoter. He's a smart guy. He's got a bright future in broadcasting ahead of him. My only beef with Chael Sonnen is TRT. That's my beef with Chael Sonnen. You know what I mean? That's my only beef with Chael Sonnen. I love the guy otherwise. Yeah, I think we need to maybe stick with the martial way a bit more in the sport. It's something that's dying out. But Chael sells tickets. Chael sells pay-per-views. Chael makes these guys money. I'm sure anybody that's on the undercard, Chael Sonnen's main event, everybody on that card is probably happy that Chael Sonnen is the main event. You know what I mean? My only beef with him is TRT. But that being said, guys, that's that card. We got to get Tara LaRosa on the line here.
Yes, sir. Tough season 18. I think it's season 18. Co-ed, first time ever. Obviously, the show hasn't started, but they have announced they announced who is going to be on the cast. And she is one of those. She is definitely the most decorated fighter on the cast. She's pioneering women's MMA. She's fought, pretty much the who's in women's MMA. So we'll get to see what she thought about the Tough, what we can ask her about. Obviously, the season hasn't started. We're going to try to get her to maybe come on here weekly or bi-weekly to talk about the season when it starts. She's awesome. I can't wait to talk to her. We're going to have to get her on and see. We'll get to find out, about the tryout process, because not only do they fight to get in the house, I believe, but there's also a tryout process to get on Tough before that. And another big thing, a lot of people want to know why she's doing, someone, with her credentials are doing Tough. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm very excited for.
Absolutely. And I think we are now live with Tara LaRosa herself. Tara, are you with us?
I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Not too bad. So first off, welcome to the show, Tara. It's an honor to have such a pioneer of women's MMA on the show with us. First off, tell us how excited you are to be featured on Tough 18.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's pretty awesome, right? I mean, this is the first time that women are going to get showcased on The Ultimate Fighter, and, it's still relatively new to viewers. We just started having women's fights in the UFC, so this is really an exciting time for women in the sport. I couldn't be, more proud to be a part of it,
Absolutely.
Still.
Now,
I'm still kicking.
Now, that being said, that kind of leads into my next question here. A lot of fans feel like this is a lot of hardcore fans, people who know who you are, feel that this is a long time coming for you, to be on the biggest stage possible. How gratifying is it now to get the opportunity that, so many people believe you've deserved for such a long time?
It's amazing. I mean, I'm just surprised so many people still remember me. I've been around for a long ass time, like a dinosaur.
Yeah, you fought the who's. I mean, your credentials speak for themselves. I will say everybody, but most people definitely knew who you were in women's MMA. Why did you why do Tough? What was the thought process? Did you talk to your team? Did you get flack about doing it?
I don't know. Everybody was actually very encouraging, and actually it kind of convinced me to do it, because I had absolutely no desire to go back to 135 whatsoever. None. And then, this whole The Ultimate Fighter thing was announced, and then 2 weeks later I was at tryouts. So it was like a really snap decision. I was like, oh shit. Am I gonna do this? Should I do this? I don't know. I talked to Greg, Jackson, who's my coach, talked to Kedzie, Julie Kedzie, she's my teammate, Monty Cox, my manager, Shane Baszler, my best friend, Roxanne Montefiore, and they were all in favor. They're all like, yeah, go ahead, you should do it. Come on, it's going to be a good time, whatever. I was like, oh, okay, why not? Let's see what happens. There was a lot of things, I thought. I was really, and I feel constantly guilty, like I have to keep addressing this, because it's like this thing that's been hanging over my head. I missed weight twice in a row at 125, and people have been giving me shit and whatever, just general bullshit. And so I was like, you know what? I am walking around heavier anyway. I might as well give it a shot. What have I got to lose? So I did, and whatever. So we'll see. Do I want to stay at 135? I have no idea.
Well, for the time being, I'm sure more opportunities with the women's divisions in UFC will open up as time passes. Yep. But tell us, how did you end up on the show? Obviously someone reach out to you. Did you kind of apply? How did that work out?
I applied just like everybody else. I saw it. I don't even know where I first saw it. I think it came across Twitter. It was probably something on Twitter. I saw the announcement. I was like, oh, shit, all right. And I'm living down in Albuquerque, New Mexico now. So that was only like a 6-hour drive. That was easy. So I just, was like, might as well. But it was like a whirlwind. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. But I started training for it like as soon as I found out about it. So it wasn't. And you don't have to make weight for the weigh-ins. So like everybody usually comes in pretty big, and then you have, after they like contact you and make their final selections and stuff, and I guess everybody gets serious.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So without breaking any of your contract obligations, tell us a little bit about how the dynamic was different on this show. With the house being co-ed, what was that like?
You'll have to see.
There you go.
I mean, we women train with men all the time, and train with women. That's not a new thing. That may be new to viewers, but that's not a new thing to any of us. I mean,
Now, has training with, like, you said, obviously the women's been training with men for a long time, but now that women's MMA is to the point it's at and continuously growing, is it different in the gym than it was back when you first started? Obviously, you've been doing it a while, because of.
It's so funny because I finally got back to one of the places I started training at. Like, I started training in North Carolina and Tennessee, and like I was definitely the only girl around then. And I went back to the place that I started training at in 2001, week before last week, actually, because I drove through up to New Jersey. And you know what? It was the same in some ways. It was just, I don't know, it was awesome. It was really great to get back. But I can't compare it. I don't know. It's kind of different to compare it to Jackson's because there's so many women down there that it's commonplace. It's common to train with women. I mean, I don't have to like train my training partners to be able to train with me. Like, it's okay. Like with training with women is not like a new or novel thing to anybody down there, which is kind of nice. It's it's kind of cool.
Yep.
But I really don't think there's too many gyms left that hasn't had a woman come through at some point. So I mean, it's been so long, and there's so many more women in the sport now, and the sport's grown so much that I think it's rare, to go someplace where there's never been a woman, in the gym. Whether they stick around, that's different. But yeah.
What is it about, Greg Jackson's gym? You think that, because you guys you have Julie Kedzie, I think Sarah Kaufmann trains part-time there too. You guys have the, probably the, as far as.
It is straight up magical. I'm not going to lie. It's the happiest damn place on earth. I might as well be training at Disneyland. I'm not kidding. It's so cool. Like, I can be in the shittiest, worst mood. Like, just nothing could be going right. But I walk into that gym, and it's just, I'm so happy. Like, I'm just grinning, I'm smiling, I'm happy to be there, I'm ready to go, it's just so much fun. It's really, really, for the first time in years, I'm happy training. I'm happy and excited to walk into the gym every day and see my teammates and see my coaches, and just, it's great. I don't know if like, Greg's, like, pumping some kind of, like, happy gas into the air duct or something. I don't know what they're doing down there, but it's great. I love it. I really couldn't be happier.
That sounds like that sounds like a really cool all organic antidepressant. Greg Jackson's Happy Dust.
Seriously.
Greg Jackson's Happy Dust.
You seriously don't need anxiety pills or depression medicine. Just come to Jackson's MMA. Seriously.
Now you made the eventual transition over to Jackson's MMA in Albuquerque, but I'm interested to know what life was like training under Ivan Salivary.
Interesting. Very interesting. It was an interesting ordeal, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I have a great story. Ivan's awesome. I love Ivan to death. He's a little wacky. He's a little old school a lot, like when it comes to training. One particular day, we have days that are like grappling based or stand up based or whatever, you know. And I come in one day and it was kind of like a wrestling based class, and he has all the guys take off their shirts, and all the girls just down to their like sports bras or whatever. And he decided that day was Albaline Wrestling Day. This has to be the most traumatic day of training I have ever had in 17 years of training. I probably could have used a few months of therapy after this. So we all stripped down, you know, and he smears Albaline on everyone to simulate what it would be like in the third round or late in the fight when you're all sweaty and gross. And oh my God, it was the most disgusting thing I swear I have ever done in my life. It was just traumatic. It was the only word that I can use to describe the amount of sweat and disgusting and body hair and foulness.
That sounds like something that should have been aired on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think he lived out some weird fantasy that day or something.
And now Albaline makes you sweat, right? It was, the mats that are in there are kind of like the tarp that's stretched across the mats and, you know, tied off, tied down, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the zebra mats, they're the individual little squares. It was like a pool. Albaline makes you sweat. And there's about 15 to 20 people in there just pouring water. I mean, we sweat really bad as it is because we're all very well hydrated. It had to fucking eventually stop practice because people were going to die. People were going to break something when they slipped or fell into each other or over each other. It was just it was wild.
Well, I'm glad I asked about Ivan Salivary. All right, but changing.
But other than that, it was awesome. It was great. I was off the wall. So yeah.
Awesome. Now
I'm on YouTube looking it up right now. Hold on.
Now you've been an active pro for, you know, going on 12 years now. You know, that's longer than a lot of the male fighters of today. How difficult has it been for you to stay driven in a sport that hasn't really recognized women until like recent years?
Honestly, it was a lot easier to stay driven before it went mainstream. It's just I don't know, when you're still new and you're still going and there's still like exciting fights and stuff to be had, it drives you. When you start to get deep into your career and fights start falling through and people start pulling out and promotions start dicking you around and just, I don't know, it starts to wear on you after a while. That's that's the motivation killer. That's what gets people the most, is training for 6 to 8 weeks to 3 months for a fight, and then suddenly it's off the table. It kills you. That's a lot of money. You just spent probably several $1,000s on your diet, on your supplements, on your coaches, on traveling. I mean, back and forth to the gym every day, whether that's a 5-minute commute or a 45-minute commute. That costs a lot of money, you know, and you have to tailor your entire schedule. I mean, if you have a full-time job, you have to work around that. You have to schedule days off. You know, if you have a family, if you have kids, a husband, a wife, whoever, you know, you have to schedule training around family time, or you have to cut into family time. You know, it takes a heavy toll on people after a while. Some people deal with it better than others. I mean, honestly, I've been around for a long time. I don't have a relationship. I haven't had a real relationship since 2007. I'm single. I don't really have any kind of family obligations, you know, other than my family back in Jersey or whatever. And so it's been, I think, a little bit easier for me than it has for a lot of other people. But it's still very difficult. I don't have a real, I don't have a career. I don't have a steady job outside of the gym. This is the first time that I think I've actually been, really working on something that could become, a career. I'm working at Jackson's now, teaching the fitness MMA classes. That's, one of the steady jobs that I've had in years, you know. So it's difficult when it comes to that, you know.
So it's kind of
if you have a college career or college education, having a real career with a steady job and having to still work around that for training.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, whereas, you know, you have more pressure and more bureaucracy and all these things along with women's MMA, but in the same essence, you're now able to get a much bigger payday and actually make a full-time career of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people think that the longer you're in the sport, the bigger your payday is going to get. Well, that's bullshit. Complete bullshit. Because actually, back in the day with Dough Dog, I was making really good money. I haven't made that kind of money since 2007. So it's, you know, and it's not just me. It's been like that for many people, men and women. So I don't care if you've been in the sport for 20 years, you still might be making jack shit. You know, I know guys that have been fighting longer than me. They're still making $400. That's disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's disgusting. That is sad.
It is a lot of, you know, that's one of the big topics right now is fighters' pay. Now, you mentioned you haven't, had dated since 2007. I don't know if you really want to get into it, but is that also partly to do what happened with your boyfriend?
Yeah, there's everybody's got their issues. Everybody's got things. I'm just committed to the sport. I'm married to the sport.
There you go.
It takes up my life. That's what I do. Day in, day out. Wake up in the morning, go to training. I eat the sport, drink the sport, sleep the sport. That's what I do. I don't know. I'm 35 years old now. I really have been doing it so long that I wouldn't know what to do outside of it. I tried rejoining society a couple years ago, but it just definitely didn't work out in my favor.
No.
I'm a lifer. I'm meant for MMA.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, well, we're glad you are anyway. Now you beat Alexis Davis, you beat your teammate now, Julie Kedzie, which are both on the UFC roster. Is it weird?
Yeah,
like
please don't bring that up. I'm
we're not
always
gonna.
afraid Julie's going to try and get me back in the gym.
Okay.
When she tells the story of our fight, it gets worse and worse every time she tells it. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to eat shit one of these days. I know it.
Well, and this is my opinion. Of course, it's my opinion here. But does it feel weird? No one I feel like the coaches this season, Rhonda and Misha Tate, they're on the same level as you. To me, you guys are the same level. You fought the same people. You beat the same people. Was it weird knowing that they were one of them would be one of your coaches?
All I can say is I hope they show my reaction when I walked in. That's all. Wait till September 4th. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, there we go. That's kind of teasers.
When it airs, we'll see what happens.
That's the teasers. That's the teasers we need anyway. What do you? Now this is off topic here, and two things off topic. I don't know who when we got a guest and I'm looking them up. I look a lot of places. Wikipedia is one of them. Even though I know a lot of people don't talk good, but whoever did your Wikipedia either really liked you or really knew you, because it is like the best one I've ever seen. I think as far as so much information.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's got a lot of stuff and it's well done actually. And one of the things that I seen on there, which really sparked my interest because I'm a huge Hoist Gracie fan. How did you, very early in your career, you linked up with Hoist, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How'd that come about? Because that's, he's one of my all-time favorites. So, as a fan, I'd like to know.
Definitely. I was living in North Carolina. That's where I went to college, and I got up with a school called Team Rock, which is still around. And back in 1999, shoot, I can't remember when they started. They started, I think, in 99, and they were a Hoist-affiliated school. Because you know how back in the day, like, you were affiliated with some kind of either Helson or Hoist or Henzo or usually one of the Gracies, or a Machado school, this is back in the day. And we were a Hoist-affiliated school. Well, that's the school that I got up with. That was the closest school that was to me in North Carolina. That was probably the only school in North Carolina, because we all know that North Carolina is just the epicenter from the north. So I got up with this school. I started training with them. I was there. That's where I started my career, really. I was with them for 5-6 years, and I got to know Hoist, and I got ranked under Hoist through there. So, and we had black belt. He was the owner, Greg Thompson, who also handles a lot of combatives at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And, he teaches a lot of the Special Forces and the 82nd, and he has a lot of the contracts with that. And also, Aitor Canutt, Spencer Canutt, who was like my main instructor. He was kind of like my handler. Like, he made me. Spencer, he made me. So blame Spencer.
There you go.
So that's he's black belt now. There's several black belts out of that school now, under Hoist.
That's pretty cool.
Billy Dowey and Jason Colbert, and there's a bunch.
Now back to Tough. What do you think viewers are going to find most surprising about this season?
Shit. It should be an action-packed season.
There we go.
Now, Dana White has alluded to this being like the nastiest rivalry between coaches in the history of Tough. How true is that statement, and how crazy was it being in the middle of that drama?
I don't really have a whole lot to compare it to, because I stopped watching the show at season 5. Okay. So I didn't see some of the epic coach rivalries, but I'm guessing this may take the cake. I'm thinking. I can't imagine it being any worse than this.
Okay.
Really.
All right. Now, tell us about the competitors on this season. What's the playing field look like?
They were good.
Okay.
You're gonna have to do us a favor if you don't mind, and during the during the episodes as they're airing, if we can have you on every bi-weekly maybe, or throughout the season when you have time, so we could talk about the episodes. Could you do that for us?
Yeah, that's cool. That's right on.
We'll get the LaRosa take on each episode of Tough.
Now, I got one more.
Yeah, you sure you want that?
After hearing the Ivan Salivary story, I'm definitely.
Oh God. Yeah.
This is another. This is something funny I've seen on your Wikipedia that I'll ask you about. It says you watch a Chuck Norris movie every night. It says that on there. How true is that?
I'm a huge Chuck Norris fan. I love Chuck Norris. I have many of his movies. Oftentimes my schedule looks like this. I wake up in the morning, grab a bite to eat on the way to the gym, go to the gym, train, come home, eat lunch, sit there for an hour, do something else, go back to the gym, train again, come home, make dinner, and watch Chuck Norris movies. Go to bed.
There you
I
go.
swear to God, that's my routine. That's all I do.
So every night you are embraced by an
almost
awesome
every
beer.
night. Some nights I'm just too damn tired and it just gets too late to watch movies.
So you get to watch that awesome beard kick ass every night. I like that.
Oh my God, he's awesome. He's the man. Yes. Yeah, Lone Wolf McQuaid and oh shit, it just flew out of my head. One of the others, one of the series.
Oh, Walker Texas Ranger.
Oh, I loved Walker Texas Ranger. That was great. No, the one way before that, the movies.
Okay.
I can't remember it in my head now. I blanked out. Sorry, it's what happens when you get punched in the head for a living.
Hey. So, what do you think overall? Obviously, it sounds like you've had a very interesting experience with this whole Tough thing. But what should fans expect from this season overall?
Shock.
Okay. A shocking season of Tough. All right.
Shock. Yeah, I mean it's just first episode alone is going to surprise everybody.
All right.
Yeah.
So
you guys are in for a hell of a ride and a pretty big surprise. So you'll see.
All Late Night Cageside, powered by BJPen.com fans will get to hear your intake every so often on the show. I'm excited.
That's cool. Yeah.
So, obviously, not only just having women on the show, it being a crazy season, as you're alluding to, the nastiest rivalry on Tough. Why should your fans and viewers tune into Tough 18?
If you've supported me and you've supported my career through all these years, then you've supported women's MMA. This is my dream, was for people to have regular conversations about who would beat who, or what chick has better grappling, or whose armbar is best, or who's got better striking. Regular conversations debating about women's MMA and the women in the sport, just like the men. That was my dream since the beginning, since 2001, since when I started. It's come true. We're in the UFC, we're on TV. I mean, we're being featured in commercials.
Right.
That's it. If you've ever supported me, then you've supported the sport, and I hope that you continue to do so.
And I think
long after I'm gone. you know, I hope that you enjoy it not just for me, but for the sport itself and for what the women bring to it.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just me. There's many of us.
And as we mentioned before, you're
Definitely.
definitely a pioneer. You've paved the way for a lot of the up and comers. And we certainly look forward to the debut of Tough 18 on September 4th on Fox Sports 1. Now, before we let you go and get in some shout-outs here, we do a thing here on Late Night Cageside Radio called the Quick Finish. It's just basically some fast-paced questions for fight fans to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Oh, shit. Bring it on.
What is your go-to food after weigh-in?
Rice and peas with sweet and sour sauce.
Pride rules or UFC rules?
Pride rules.
Favorite movie?
Oh, shit. Shit, that's terrible. Rambo 4.
Oh, okay. Biggest fear?
Fighting.
Okay, that's an honest answer. I like that.
Yeah.
Favorite fighter of all time?
Jens Pulver.
All right. And finally, finish by KO or submission?
Submission. All day, every day.
All right, cool. So there you have it. That's the quick finish featured here on Late Night Cageside Radio. Tara, you've been great. Everybody who's listening, be sure to follow Tara on Twitter at Tara LaRosa. Be sure to check her out on Twitter. Follow her. The new season of Tough is going to be awesome. Tara, it's your time now. Feel free to get in any shout-outs you can.
Thank you. I mean, to all of the fans, to everyone, to my family, to everyone that's ever supported me and been a fan of me or, the sport in general, A huge shout-out to the guys who got me into the sport in Tennessee, that found me at a tournament and started talking to me about the guard and the clinch and takedowns and all that shit. Thank you to Team Rock in North Carolina. Thank you to Philadelphia Fight Factory and Yakima MMA and Team Ivan Salivary. And the biggest, huge thank you to Jackson's MMA and all my teammates and coaches there. I thank you so much, everybody that's ever been a part of my career or my life, that's helped me or made some kind of an impact on me, good or bad, even if you've been a shithead. Thank you.
All right,
You
Tara.
made me.
All right, Tara, you've been awesome. We look forward to having you on the show again, and we also look forward to the premiere of Tough on September 4th. Hope to see you do awesome on the show, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tara.
There you have it, everyone. Tara LaRosa, Tough Season 18, women's MMA pioneer. And now, very shortly, we are about to get Sarah Kaufmann. We're running a little behind. We apologize. Sarah Kaufmann will be on in minutes here. That was great. Talk to her. She's obviously, there's not a lot you could talk about yet on Tough, and they got to be very careful what they say. So she had to, once the season comes up and is on and an episode airs, we can talk about it next time we have her on. And but I have so much more stuff to ask her. We'll definitely get into more stuff next time. And I'm very, very excited now. Coming up on Late Night Cageside, powered by BJPin.com, we have Sarah Kaufmann coming on, another pioneer. I know we use that word. There's only a few that we actually use that word with, but Sarah Kaufmann is definitely one of the pioneers. I mean, she's fought everybody also that there is up there. Everyone that you know about right now, everyone that's in UFC, besides Kat Zingano, she has fought. She's ranked number 2 currently in the UFC women's bantamweight division. She's got pulled off a card. Her opponent, got injured or something happened. It was personal reasons. They don't really announce what has happened. But then they couldn't find her opponent, or no one stepped up to fight her. We'll find that out here in a minute. Very unfortunate. She was going to be a great addition to the Fox Sports 1. So we look forward to her next fight and talking to her and find out what happened.
We certainly do, and I believe we are now live with Sarah Kaufmann herself. Sarah, are you with us?
I am here, absolutely.
Here we go.
Awesome. So first off, Sarah, thank you very much for joining us tonight. The biggest thing going on right now is obviously the news that was dropped today that, the UFC was unable to find a replacement for Sarah McMahon ahead of the fight at UFC Fight Night 27, and thus you were removed from the card altogether. First off, tell us, how disappointed are you right now?
I've actually known for a couple of days now, and definitely it's really upsetting because, it's something that I've been working so long and so hard, to kind of finally make that UFC debut. And, my fight camp was amazing. I worked with, Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn, my training partners down in Albuquerque right at the beginning of camp when I was able to help out Julie Kedzie for her fight. So I was down there at the very beginning of July. And, and then I've had my whole fight camp up in Victoria with my coach, Adam Zuzek, my team at Zuma. And it's probably been one of the best camps I've ever had. I feel great. I was really prepared, and everything was really on point for that debut. And to kind of have the rug pulled out from under you, and I know that they looked for opponents, and I think, I think it's a combination of people not wanting to fight me on short notice, as well as the fact that the Tough Show has 16 girls that are currently, on hold because of the show, and 6 of the UFC girls just fought within a couple weeks. Timing's everything, and unfortunately for me, it's kind of a bad spot for trying to find someone to fill in.
Now, how did you get the news?
My manager called me, and 2 weeks ago, 2 Mondays ago, and kind of said, "Look, we have bad news, we have good news. Bad news, Sarah McMahon's out. Good news, they'll find an opponent within 24 hours or what whatever was said." And of course you're right away, you kind of have that sinking feeling of like, what if they don't find someone? What if it's someone totally different than what I've been training for? It was a big fight, a big name for both of us really. And I hope everything's okay with Sarah. We don't know why she pulled out, but it's just hard to right away you kind of have that sinking feeling of, oh, what if they don't find someone? You're still training, you're still dieting, and as kind of the days went on, it turned into a week and a half of not having anyone, kind of the dread starts to set in, and it's hard to keep that motivation for hard fight training when you kind of know what's coming.
Now, has the UFC given you like a target date for another fight yet, or has like nothing come to fruition, or what's going on there?
Yeah, right now, I don't know what's happening. I want to fight clearly as soon as possible. I'm in fight shape already, so it'd be good to know because I need to dial it back and then ramp it back up for the next fight. But as of right now, I really don't know what the aim is. I think that all the cards seem to be filled until kind of mid-October, late October, and I want to get on the card as soon as possible. So, if they're not able to slate me in to, the Toronto card or somewhere before an October card, then it looks like, October might be the earliest I'll be able to get in there.
Yeah, now that was going to be my next question. Like, potentially, I would assume you would probably want to get on the Toronto card in September.
I mean, if I could, that would be amazing to be able to fight in front of my home country, and the fans in Canada are really supportive and really engaged, especially when a Canadian comes out. So I think that energy, especially for my first UFC fight, would be absolutely incredible. That being said, September 21st really is only 4 weeks away. So if someone wouldn't take the fight on 3 weeks' notice, would they take a fight on 4 weeks' notice? And that card's already full. So I don't know if that'll pan out, but if it did, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I figured that would be the ideal situation. Now, where does this put you financially? I mean, we all know that fighters need to fight to earn a living. I'm sure this not only affects you, but your trainers, your sponsors, your family who already bought tickets. I mean, how much of a bump in the road has this been financially?
I mean, it affects a lot of different things. I guess maybe lucky and unfortunate enough to have a full-time job, that I don't need to fight to pay the bills. It's definitely nice to have extra money and to get paid to do what you love to do. But I'm out all of my training camp money. So, I went down to Albuquerque. Greg Jackson came up here, working with different people. Everything costs money, and a camp can easily cost thousands of dollars. And I probably spent at least three to four on, even specific nutrition, and travel and bringing people in, everything like that. And unfortunately, none of that gets reimbursed. If you don't fight, you don't get paid, pretty much. So it puts you in a tough situation because I'm out money, and I'm going to have to do it again for another camp. And unfortunately, if I don't get paid, my managers, my trainers, they don't get paid for their time unless I specifically pay out of my own pocket. So, it does put a lot of people in an unfortunate situation, and nothing can be done about it, unless the UFC and different organizations kind of change their ways in terms of, if we can't find someone, we'll give you said amount of dollars in compensation if you're ready. I don't know what else I could do.
Now, what they gave Ricardo Lamas his money to show because, I guess it's a different situation. They took his opponent and put him somewhere else, but it seems like it's almost the same situation, that you're ready to fight. You're not fighting because you're hurt. You're not fighting because you're, any reason. You need to hit up Dana. I think you might be able to get that show money.
I think my manager, I kind of leave the money stuff to him. I mean, absolutely. I had a 11-week camp, so or 12 weeks. I'm not even sure how long it was, and I'm prepared to go. But I don't know what their usual kind of reasonings are for how they do what they do. It's really not their fault that the opponent fell through, but it's also not my fault. And I've done my job in terms of getting myself prepared and ready. And, my managers were working on getting sponsorship deals, and now none of that's going to come in. So it's a lot of money that I'm out, as well as, people who've been putting months of work in to kind of tie down all those sponsorships and all those deals.
Yep.
Well, it could, hopefully, it'll work out, and for a reason. Obviously, there's a reason that didn't happen, and which I'm thinking. Now I don't know her timetable to return, but Kat Sagano, she's the only one ranked ahead of you right now, besides the champion, obviously, and you fought pretty much everyone besides her that everyone knows. Would that be a fight you would want, Kat?
I think Kat would be a great fight for me. I really don't know how soon she's going to be back. With having ACL kind of reconstruction there, it's a pretty serious injury, and even in terms of when she's going to be allowed to get back on it, I don't know what the recovery's like, and I wouldn't think she'd want to fight with me coming back into the UFC. Those are my thoughts, but at this point, I pretty much just need a warm body to get in front of me so I can hit them and get a good knockout, and then get a title shot.
What now? And unless you don't want to, if you don't mind me asking this, if you don't want to say, you don't have to say. What is your full-time career besides fighting?
Well, I don't mind you asking, and I will tell you. It's MMA related. I actually work full-time at Zuma, which is the gym that I've trained at since I first started. And I have a little Bulldogs program. They're the cutest things you've ever seen. They're between the ages of 3 and 5. They have little jiu-jitsu gis and their little Bulldog shirt. Oh. So I have that group. I have a really big kids group, which goes from kind of like 6 to 12 or 13. And then we have, women and co-ed classes as well. So kind of the full gamut from 3-year-olds all the way up to, we have like grandmas and grandpas that are training. So it's an awesome group.
That's amazing. That's funny how you described that. That's great. Now, I read that you wanted to become a cardiovascular. I'm going to go off topic here for a minute. Cardiovascular surgeon. Is that something you still would want to do, or that you might try to do one day? I know you're.
I don't think so. When I was in grade 5, so I was about 10, I had a teacher who at the end of the year did stupid predictions. So I think you're going to be a teacher and you're going to be a dog walker. And for me, he actually said open heart surgeon. And I was like, you're ridiculous. That's so crazy. But it really kind of got the wheels turning in my head. And I was always really enamored by kind of the operation channel and just the intricacies of injuries and putting them back together. And it just kind of festered in there. And I was like, you know what? I do want to be a surgeon. I think cardiovascular would be so interesting to, fix blockages and the heart is what makes things go. And how can you stop that to, mess around with it. Like, I just find the whole thing very fascinating. That being said, I did 2 years of university, and really, it just wasn't for me. I kind of decided, you know what, I don't think I want to do another, 12, 13, 14 years of schooling to get to that cardiovascular job. And at the time, I always thought that, I'd want to have, kind of a family and kids earlier on, and that just really, all the pieces just didn't seem to work out. So I stopped after my second year of university. I stopped school, and at the time, I'd kind of started getting into more of the training thing, and I didn't think I would fight with it, but I just wanted to take a break from school and started working at the gym and doing more classes, competing a bit, and that led to me fighting, which has led to, the craziness that has ensued into where I am now. And I don't think I'd ever go back for cardiovascular surgery, but the medical field really interests me. So whether, like a paramedic or a nurse or, even kind of a physio or occupational therapist, something that involves people and kind of helping them, I could definitely see myself at some point maybe getting into.
You probably make a badass paramedic. You're not afraid of blood. You get right in there. That'd be a pretty good career choice, I think. Now, speaking of Zuma,
and I love the excitement of like what happened. I'm really nosy. What happened at that accident? Like I just can't. I'm the person who drives extremely slowly past.
Oh, you're the one.
Different things that happen on the road. I'm that one. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Zuma, one of the things that by the way, in that whole bulldog thing, I like that you're obviously training some future champs. But I've always admired the fact that you've stuck with your first camp, you've stayed loyal to them. I'm wondering how things are going up there at Zuma, as an institution.
Things are great. We really, Adam and I we actually don't really want a lot of fighters. We have a lot of really good fighters. And by a lot, I mean we have, 5 to 10, which I think is, I guess it's not a lot. But it's, for the most part, it literally are people like me who've started training and kind of had that interest and that desire to kind of take it a little further. And we really don't want fighters because, honestly, fighters don't pay the bills. Things like this happen where, I'm at the highest level, the gym gets whatever percentage they get. And at the end of the day, if the fight doesn't happen, they don't make any money.
Yep.
And then fighters are stingy. And when they make money, they're like, it's my money. I don't want to give it to anyone else. It's mine. And I think that gyms in general don't make money off of fighters for the most part. We want the community and kind of the average Joe who goes to work, is a plumber, is a lawyer, is a whatever they are, to just have passion for training and for the athletics that it brings about.
Awesome. And again, that's something I always admired was that you stuck around from the people who started you off and made you, and it's definitely a loyal and awesome thing to do. Now back to the.
I think it's just so important.
Oh, it certainly is. So back to the situation though. I'm wondering what positives, if any, have you taken out of this?
Well, I mean, I'm in really good shape. I have a great beach body because I'm, cutting weight. So I can go, if I were to like the sun, I could go in the sun and people might be like, oh, that girl must work out. So that's a positive. But I think anytime you're in a camp, especially, getting ready for, a strong wrestler, of course, those certain aspects of your game, you kind of fine tune them and you tweak them and you're, I've worked different entries and different exits that maybe I hadn't done in the past. So you can always gain something from a fight camp. I think a lot of small details kind of came together. Certain things that I was kind of getting stuck on before, I think that I've tweaked a little bit and hopefully will be better at in the future. And just all around, I think you have to have the mental strength to deal with these things and not let it affect your next fight camp and your next fight. You have to go in with that same mentality, that same kind of positive thinking of, well, I got something out of it. I'm already in good shape. Hopefully next camp is a bit easier because, I'm already in fight shape. And, the hard part is balancing, you not peaking and staying high too long. But other than that, I think there's so much that I can get out of it, aside from being really crappy that I was going to make my UFC debut and that has been postponed to an indefinite time. There's a lot of good stuff come out of it.
Yeah, I was also wondering, this, as you mentioned, this would have been your UFC debut, and surprisingly, you were one of the later additions to the UFC women's bantamweight roster. Does this motivate you to put on like even more of a show when you finally make the walk to the octagon?
I mean, it's always important to put on those big shows and to prove yourself time and again, because you're really only as remembered for your last fight. You could have a million great performances, and it's the last one that people remember. And so I think it's always important to have that big showing, that big exciting fight, regardless of if you get a finish, if you don't get a finish, if you lose, if you win. I mean, you always want the win. You always want a big finish. You have to do what you have to do at the end of the day to get the win. But it's definitely in the back of your head. This is your moment. This is the big show. This is where you've been working for. All those little things are kind of speaking to you in the back. And you just hope that you do what you do in the gym and you translate that to the cage, and that UFC, Dana White, Sean Shelby, Joe Silva, the Fertittas, you hope that all of them watch your fight and be like, that girl's a badass.
Yep. Well said. Very eloquent as well. McMahon was, highly touted as a top contender, such as yourself. How important is it for you to make sure you get an upper echelon opponent, given all that's happened here, transpired? If they offer you someone that's not necessarily going to propel you up to a title shot, is that a fight you're going to take, or, does it definitely have to be somebody top 10?
Honestly, I'll take a fight. And, I've been in positions where, I've been told, you pretty much almost guaranteed you win this fight, you're getting the title shot, or, if you do this, you're going to get this, and, from A to B. And I don't think that that's the way in MMA. So much happens. Timing, as I say, it really is everything. And if you're in the right place at the right time, you get that fight. If you're not, something's a little bit off, someone else who may not be on paper as deserving gets those opportunities. And so at this point, my ultimate goal is that UFC coveted title. That's what I want, that big shiny belt. I wouldn't wear it, and I wouldn't want to show it off to anyone because I'd be somewhat embarrassed because I don't like the attention. But I want the belt for that kind of conviction of you're the best, you're number one, all your hard work, you kind of get that validation. So that being said, who knows if I get an upper echelon, as you say, fighter. If I win that fight, does that mean I get a title shot? Not necessarily.
Sure.
At this point, I just want to fight. I want to stay active. And you win, knockout, submission, decision, whatever it is, you keep winning, you keep putting your name in the hat, and it keeps coming out on top. Eventually, you get, you're the last one. They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So, honestly, whomever I get, I feel sorry for them because I'm ready and excited to fight, and they're going to be my stepping stone. That one extra push in the hat.
Yeah, and it's a great way to look at it. Amazing that you would say that. And I think Dana White even said at the post-fight presser, they might have been talking about Uriah Faber or something. He said about what opponent you take. If you believe you're the best in the world, you're going to take any opponent, even if it's the riskier ones. And I think that's pretty brave. And I commend you for being willing to do that. Now, you beat Liz Carmouche. I could go off for like an hour on who you beat. That's known. Miesha Tate, Liz Carmouche, both those two I'm just going to bring up because they are fighting in the UFC. And now knowing not even the fact that you beat them, but that you've been fighting these guys and coming up with them, is it harder that you just, when you see them fight, since you haven't fought yet in UFC, to watch them in UFC, or are you more proud when you see them fight?
A mixture of both. I can't say that I'm not jealous that, Liz was the first, female to step inside the octagon. I can't say that I didn't want to be in her shoes. I understand why I wasn't, again, based on timing. And then to see Miesha fight Kat, that's a fight that I was actually pushing for. Because I fought Miesha quite a long time ago. We've kind of done this dance of potentially supposed to be fighting a couple of times, and somehow it doesn't transpire. And I do love punching her in the face. And then now Liz and Misha were supposed to have a second fight, and to me I was like, oh, I was kind of stomping my shoes a bit, like they're on their second fight and I haven't had my first fight.
Yeah.
And I've been around the sport, I've been trying to push the sport, I've fought and beaten both of them. But again, timing is everything, and how things have worked out. Even when Misha pulled out of the fight with Liz, I kind of thought about trying to push for it. But unfortunately, and fortunately, my coach, Adam, he had a baby due August 3rd. And so, I didn't really want to risk not having him there or not having him involved in the camp, because he had a baby coming or a baby was born. So, I chose not to push for that fight. Not that the UFC necessarily would have wanted it or would have let it happen, but in another instance, I probably would have kind of been online and, little internet talk.
There you go.
That's what that means. And I might have pushed for it. But as it stands, they gave me a fight. August 28th was the date. I was like, you know what? Sure, it's after everyone else, but, last doesn't mean you're the worst. So hopefully you make a big grand kind of entrance into the UFC and make all the other girls scared. And now I have to wait to do that for the next one. But again, timing's everything, and I'm happy for them, and I'm happy that the UFC has really embraced the females and not just pushed Ronda, but has brought in and had 6 or 7 female fights up to this point. It's just great to see, and to see different females coming in. It's exciting as a fighter to have a bigger talent pool, and seeing people that I haven't fought before, being like, I hope they win so I get to fight them because I fought the other girl, or whatever happened. It's just exciting on a whole, in the bigger picture than just me.
Yeah, not only that, all the fights that they've put on so far, all the women fights they have paid off. They've had great fights. They've all proven, that the women belong and that they're awesome fights. Now, I'm going to go back and off subject a little bit again. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, but when you fought, and I'm probably going to say Shannon Baszler,
yeah.
And Strikeforce, which you fought in Strikeforce for a long time. When you fought her, it was the first time that they had a women's MMA fight that was 5-minute rounds.
Strikeforce, yes.
For Strikeforce. Now, why was that, and how huge was that for you?
Well, at the time, so when I fought kind of my first, 7 or 8 fights in Canada, other than my very first fight, which was 3-minute rounds, all of my fights had been 5-minute rounds. I had 2 title fights that were both scheduled for 5-minute rounds. So I was used to the 5-minute round. I did fight for PFC, Palace Fighting Championships, which at the time they kind of were doing the 3-minute rounds. They were in California. And for whatever reason, California had, at the time, a thing in their ruling where the organization could choose for females to have rounds from 2 to 5 minutes in length, something like that, where there was a choice, and females could fight for this time to this time. And I think initially when Elite XC was around, they took 3-minute rounds for the girls, and I don't know, I think a lot of that had to do with Gina Carano, because she had fought Thai boxing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the case, but so the rounds were 3 minutes long, and that's kind of what they said, and everyone was like, oh, okay, guys are 5, girls are 3. It was weird, but that's what they did. And then Strikeforce took over Elite XC, and they were still having these 3-minute round fights. And the public was asking about it, the girls were asking about it. We didn't want 3-minute rounds. There really was no reason for it. And turns out the commission, Strikeforce was blaming the commission. The commission was saying, it's not us, it's Strikeforce. So it all came out in the wash that eventually it wasn't the commission, and you were allowed whatever it was. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but I do know that after I fought Misha Tate, which I stepped in on 2 weeks' notice, I really lobbied for it. I got on the mic, said, look, we want to fight 5 minutes. This 3 minutes is pretty much is crap. There's no reason for it. Get us on 5-minute rounds because we are ready to fight it. You know, it doesn't matter if our lungs are smaller or our hearts don't pump as much blood, whatever it is. You know, girl versus girl is not the same as girl versus guy, and so it shouldn't matter. We can do 5 minutes. And I didn't find out until, I don't know, like a week or two before that we were actually fighting for 5-minute rounds for Shayna Baszler.
Nice, and that kind of changed, you know, Strikeforce Women's Division in a way too, which is great. Now, I want to bring this up, and you know, don't kill me for saying this. Okay, you only have 2 losses. One, Marloes Kuhn. Yeah, one was Marloes Kuhn, which was one of my favorite people I've ever talked to. I like Marloes, and she's great.
She's lovely. She is.
And then the other was to the current UFC champion, Ronda Rousey. Now, my question is, 2-part question. Why do you think Ronda Rousey is so good at that armbar? And the other part is, why do you think she won over Dana White? Why do you think she was the one that won him over?
Well, I think that Ronda is really good at what she does because she's been doing it for 20 years. She's kind of drilled over and over that same kind of setup, the same entrance. Clearly, she's very good at them. She sticks with it, and she starts fast. And I think starting fast is not easy for a lot of people. And I know that I can sometimes get caught up in, trying to think it out and wait it out and take your time. And when someone starts that quick, even if you know they're going to start that quick, you can get caught on your heels a bit. And I definitely think that that's Ronda's game plan is come in, bulldoze through, force the takedown, trip 18 different ways until she gets it, and then try and work for that arm. And at this point, it's worked for her. And I think you even saw in the Liz fight that she wanted to go for the arm because I think mentally, even if she would have finished the fight with a choke or a TKO or something like that, as soon as it's different than the armbar, I think that mystique is lost a little bit. And that mental edge that she, probably has right now because she's just on this high of, look, I fought some really good girls, some of the best girls in the world, and they can't touch me. I just get the armbar because I want it. That's a big thing to have. It's kind of like when Chuck Liddell knocking everyone out, and then all of a sudden it happened to him, and he just wasn't the same. He didn't have that same confidence. He didn't have that same swagger, and people were able to fight him differently. And I think that will happen with Ronda as things change and as things progress, and people know, okay, you know what? She is going to do this. She's not changing it up. This is what she's doing. And that will change, but it's impressive. And you kind of root for her and you kind of root against her. You're like, I don't want to the armbar, but I kind of do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I kind of want her to get in the first because that's what she does. So it's kind of this back and forth of like, oh, people are like, oh, she's a one-trick pony. That's all she does. But so far, people haven't stopped it. So
exactly,
it's pretty impressive.
Exactly. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is unstoppable, but so far it's worked.
I'm glad you make that point because I've argued with friends, fans, many people about this. People always say, "Oh well, Ronda, yeah, exactly, one trick pony. Why doesn't she knock somebody out?" I totally agree with you. Once she changes that, the mystique does lose. It's gone. It's like, I expect her to go out there and try to armbar the person in the first round, and if she doesn't get it, then you're right. She does lose a little bit of that mystique that she has going on for her. Now, since we're talking positive stuff, we've gone away from the drama of this unfortunate cut from the event here. I want to know, how has the reception been, since you've been with the UFC? I saw you did some autograph signings lately. I'm wondering, how has this all been? How are the fans receiving you? How happy are you to be, working with the UFC now?
The UFC, for one, they run such a tight ship and they know what they're doing, and they really are involved with the cities that they go into for the fights. And, it's great that they bring in fighters. They usually try and bring in fighters who are either close to the city or have some sort of pull or some reason for them to be there. And then, like when the UFC Canada, they brought me out to Winnipeg for the Winnipeg fight, and it was great, doing the autograph signings, meet and greets, all those kinds of things. And then we actually went into, I don't remember the name of it now, but it was a First Nations promoting healthy living. I think it was called Gen 7. it was a really great organization that was, promoting, Native children in the community to get active, to get physical, and get healthy. And I got to go in with, who was it? Mike Ricci was there, TJ Grant was there, Mike Pyle was there, Jordan Mean. It was a really great group, and we all went in and we got to work with these kids for a couple hours, and it's such a rewarding experience. And, the UFC donated, I'm not sure, I think $10,000 towards that organization's, kind of program to help grow and help support it. And it's nice to see these community events and outreach programs that the UFC has that you don't really hear about. So I was just really excited to be a part of that and look forward to doing more of that in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was just one of those things, I could kind of see it in the photos. You were like, hey, this is awesome. All right. So it's good to see that, and again, as everybody's been saying, since UFC has picked up women's MMA, it's only going to skyrocket, and it's the greatest thing for all you guys. I always say that the women steal the show on almost every card. It's, you guys always come.
We try.
Well, I always bring it back to the fact that you guys have like so much more to prove. You guys have more to prove than the guys that are already established now, and you go out there and you put on the show so people will remember your name, like you said.
I think it's a mixture of that, and I think it's a mixture of, girls are just a little bit scrappy and catty. So we kind of have that behind us. But then also, you remember girls because they're different. They are something that's, and not to put down any of the males who fight, because I respect all of them that get in the cage. But, to be fair, how many 155 males are they? They're similar builds, white guys, brown hair, or black guys or brown guys, whatever they are. There's probably another 10 that look almost exactly the same. And I think girls, we do stand out a little bit more, especially for the guys. They like to look at different things, whatever they're looking at. But again,
agreed.
We do want to prove that we're in there for a reason, and that we're there for, for a good reason, that we deserve to be there. We've earned our spot on the card. But I do think that the kind of the lighter weight keeps the action going, fast paces, back and forth, and just all around exciting fights.
Absolutely. Now, again, we thank you very much for the time tonight. Before we let you go, anything you want to say to your fans? I mean, obvious with this unfortunate situation, what do you want your fans to know? What can they expect to see from you bouncing back from this?
I want to say thank you so much, for being on here, but for the support that I've been getting online, whether it's on Twitter, which is at MMA Sarah, on Facebook, kind of all over the place. I've been getting emails, just people, again, really supporting, for one, the fact that I'm in the UFC and that I was going to be fighting, but just to see the reaction and how kind of upset and outraged and disappointed the fans are, really, it's touching, because it means that I'm doing something right, and, I'm portraying myself as myself, and, I'm glad that I'm able to do that, and I don't have to put on some character or some false front to try and gain fans, if you will. I do want to let my fighting speak for itself, and, I just, if people want to get online and, tweet the UFC, tweet Dana White, let them know who you want me to fight and when you want me to fight, I think all of that helps, because the UFC sees, people really do want her to fight. She is an asset to the company. And, tell me who you want me to fight. I'm interested to see what the public is thinking as well. And I'll do my best to oblige and make those fights happen. And at the end of the day, just thank you for the support. And, of course, I have to thank, my team, Adam Zuzek, everyone at Zuma who's helped me train for this fight and my past fight, as well as, Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn, Julie Kedzie, Holly Holmes, everyone at the Jackson Gym.
Absolutely.
Well, we're definitely behind you, and we'll definitely hope to keep in touch with you.
Yeah, for sure. And everybody who's listening right now, be sure, right above the link to the radio show, the podcast right now, there is a quick link to Sarah Kaufmann's Twitter. Be sure to follow her. It is at MMA Sarah on Twitter. And before we let you go, Sarah, we do a thing here on Late Night Cageside Radio called the Quick Finish. It's basically just some fast-paced questions for fans to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Oh, these stress me out. Okay.
Nothing too hard. I'll tell you what. Nothing too bad. I know in previous weeks we've been asking people biggest inspiration, and that seems to like piss them off that we didn't like let them know we were going to ask them that. So we've cut that one.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, I think we've got them a little easier now. So, are you ready?
Oh, I think so.
Okay. What is your go-to food after weigh-in?
Garlic cheese toast.
All right. Favorite fighter of all time?
BJ Penn.
There we go.
All right, BJ Penn. Pride rules.
Oh, well, it's fun that I'm on BJPenn.com. I didn't plan that.
Oh, okay, sure, all right.
That's fine with us.
Yeah, absolutely, we love it. Pride rules or UFC rules?
UFC.
Okay. Favorite movie?
That's a hard one, but I just rewatched it, so maybe I'll say Mrs. Doubtfire because it's in my head.
Ooh, all right, very good. That was my sad attempt at a Mrs. Doubtfire impression, by the way.
With the pie on the face, the ooh.
Yeah, ooh, yeah. Would you like one lump or two?
Exactly. I knew where you were.
Biggest fear?
That one's tough. Probably spiders or bugs of some sort crawling on me.
Okay, me too. I hate bugs. Finish by knockout or submission?
Knockout all the way.
All right, very good. There you have it. That is the quick finish here on Late Night Cageside Radio. As always, Sarah, thank you very much for the time. You know, I know the majority of, I'm pretty sure everybody in the MMA community is pretty bummed out that you will not be on this card, and we all hope to see you return to the cage or make your cage debut, your octagon debut very soon. We all look forward to it. Feel free to get in any more shout outs you want to get before we let you go.
You know what? Just thank you so much, and I'm actually hoping to still go out to Indianapolis. So if any fans bought tickets to see me fight or want to come meet me, hopefully I'll still be there to kind of meet and greet a little bit and kind of give support back to those who wanted to support me.
Awesome, very good. And again, we hope to see you back soon. Best of luck in the future, and we'll have to get you back on one of these days.
Sounds great. Have a good night, guys.
All right, thank you so much. There you have it, Late Night Cageside, Sarah Kaufmann. Excellent fighter. You know, look at she's only lost to two of the greatest, well, Ronda's considered that now because she's UFC champion, which she still don't have a lot of fights, but Marloes and Ronda is your only two losses, and you beat Leslie Smith, Liz Carmouche, Alexis Davis, Miesha Tate, even though she said it was a while ago. I could keep going on, but so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to her debut. She's ranked number 2. The only one ranked above her right now is Kat and then Ronda.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense. She's exciting to watch, man. One of the first things, and I meant to say this to her too, is we had Tara LaRosa on. She's a pioneer of the sport. I consider Sarah Kaufmann a pioneer of the sport as well. When I was tuning into women's fights on Strikeforce, watching Sarah Kaufmann fight, the first walk I ever saw of hers to the cage, she comes out, she gets in the cage, and I'm like, holy crap, look at the lats on that girl. I bet she can punch a hole through a friggin' brick wall. And then, she starts throwing these straight punches, great technique boxing, straight punches, jab cross, and there's power on them. I've always enjoyed watching her fight. Definitely wish her the best in the future. It's so unfortunate that these kind of things happen, and, hopefully she'll get back in there and get into title contention soon.
And she's fought, I think, like 7 times in Strikeforce. I don't know the stats, but I'd be willing to say that's probably one of the most ever for Strikeforce for women. That's a lot of times,
Definitely.
So she's got the experience. Her last fight, she beat Leslie Smith at Invicta FC 5. That was only just in April. So she's ready to go, man. I can hear it. She's definitely ready to go.
Absolutely. So it's been a great show, ladies and gentlemen. To everybody who tuned in tonight, apparently we did some good numbers. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate the support. And we always try to bring you guys the best show possible. I know sometimes we don't always have a great lineup like this, but it's not always easy to get these guests. So with that in mind, we're always going to bring you the best possible show we can every single week. And we greatly appreciate all the support from everybody.
Yeah, make sure you tune in Wednesday night on BJ Penn Radio, BJPenn.com radio on Wednesday nights. They got an excellent show. They're our flagship show. They always have great guests. And then also on Sunday nights, Fisticuff Radio, they have excellent lineups as well, man. They've been doing it a long time, over 200 shows for those guys. So, great show, man. Biggest ever. We have to step it up from here, I guess, sir.
Yeah, certainly. We've definitely set the bar here. We're going to have to keep excelling from here on in. So again, thank you to everybody who joined us tonight: Matt the Immortal Brown, John Doomsday Howard, Tara LaRosa, and of course Sarah Kaufmann. Thanks everybody for listening. And again, this is Late Night Cageside Radio, powered by BJPenn.com. We will catch you guys next week.
Salute, sir. And if you missed any of it and you want to rehear it, it'll be on YouTube probably within the hour, killers. Good night.
All right, later, ladies and gentlemen. Penn Nation, we love you.
There we go.